2022. I am pleased to nominate Eric T. Donovan to the position of Clerk Magistrate of the Brockton District Court. I'm enclosing his resume for your convenience. So the way we're going to work is we're going to hear from your two witnesses, Mr. Donovan, Clerk Donovan, and then we're going to hear from you, and then the council will be able to ask you questions. Judge Vitale, please.
Morning, and thank you for inviting me here to Clerk Donovan. Nice to see you, counselors. I have the fortune of knowing Eric Donovan in my capacity as an attorney, in my capacity as a judge. I'm now the first justice in Brockton District Court. I met Clerk Donovan when he was an ACM in Brockton. He was there for 8 years. As an attorney, he was always very helpful to the bar advocate program that I supervised and to the litigants that came in that courthouse. I think we're fortunate to have somebody with his level of experience in a clerk's office to come help us in the Brockton District Court. I will say this, that we've been under the capable hands of acting Clerk Prime for the last 2 years, or almost 2 years, since Mr. Creedon retired. And I can't think of anybody more fitting to fill the shoes of Mr. Creedon and Clerk Prime than Eric Donovan. He is a smart, capable attorney. He is an excellent clerk. He is somebody who is familiar with the population of Brockton and the cultural sensitivities that we have in the community of Brockton. I think he'd be an excellent leader for that clerk's office. And I thank the council for inviting me to say something on his behalf. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I think the council and the Commonwealth would be in good hands with Clerk Donovan as the clerk in Brockton District Court.
Thank you very much for coming, Judge. Any questions? Kennedy?
Testimony.
Thank you.
Comment.
Counselor Hurley.
Thank you for your service. I hope you wear a helmet and a flak vest every day.
So it's a busy place, and I think that somebody with Clerk Donovan's experience is a perfect fit
Yeah,
for that community.
I worked in most of the time in Chicopee, but I did work in Springfield. And
Very similar. I started as a public defender in Springfield, and I worked as a public defender in Brockton. They're very similar communities.
sure. So
Thank you, Judge.
for your service.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to hear from Michael Branch, Chief Probation Officer. Welcome.
Welcome and good morning, and thank you for having me here today to speak on behalf of Mr. Donovan. I've known Mr. Donovan for 15 years. I've known Mr. Donovan prior to being placed at Brockton District Court as a Chief Probation Officer. I met him in my capacity as an Assistant Chief when I was working at Dorchester District Court. Mr. Donovan has always been a caring person, speaks to people with respect and dignity. And when you're in a leadership and managerial position, managing different personalities, you have to have that. You have to deal with people and treat people with respect and dignity, and also manage people, manage all the different personalities that you come across. Brockton is a very diverse court. And when Eric was there as ACM prior, always handled his courtroom, always handled people with respect, always kept the courtroom flowing, kept the cases flowing at that time. And you guys know, ladies know, in a very busy court, metrics and getting case flow management is very, very big in how we maintain our day and maintain the dignity of the court and case flow management of the cases. I think he'll be an outstanding leader. I look forward to working with him. Continue to work with Judge Vitale. I think we've been missing a leader in that department. Ms. Prime has done an outstanding job as an acting, but you can only do so much as an acting. You can't put your foot on what you want to do within that department. He's full of outstanding ideas and energy. You have to have energy when you work in big courts like this because it's a very fast-paced situation that we're dealing with. I look forward to working with Mr. Donovan and continue to work and serve the community in the various towns that we within our jurisdiction.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. You. All right. Anyone in opposition of the nominee? Terry, you want to check the door?
Well, there's a line outside and security.
I'm all set. It's your turn.
Thank you, Council, and I'd like to thank the entire council for taking up my nomination here today. I'd like to thank Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Alito for nominating me. I'd like to thank Bob Ross, Legal Counsel, and Lauren Green, Executive Director of the JNC, for shepherding me through this process. The Judicial Nominating Commission as well as Joint Bar Commission for the hard work that they have done, not just with myself, but with all the nominees. And I'd like to thank this body affirming my nomination to the Brighton Division of the Boston Municipal Court almost 5 years ago. And I'm hopeful that they'll be so kind to me, or you'll be so kind to me again. I'd like to thank my witnesses here today, Chief Branch, the Regional Administrative Justice, as well as our first Justice Brockton, Mike Talley, my beautiful wife Veronica. We were fortunate enough to celebrate our 23rd anniversary this past Sunday. I'd like to thank my mother and father who are
24.
watching. Who are watching on Zoom, who couldn't be here today. My siblings, all my in-laws, and in particular, my late in-law, my brother-in-law Johnny, who passed away on this day 7 years ago. About him all the time. For all the support they provided me, as well as my nephews and nieces. And lastly, and most importantly, the 3 beautiful children that Veronica has given me, my son Brendan, my son Timothy, and my daughter Karen. They couldn't be here today. They're working and as well as in school. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. I want this body to know that if I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed, I'll work hard each and every day to serve the people of Brockton as well as the surrounding communities and everyone throughout the Commonwealth. I learned hard work from and a work ethic from my father, and I learned empathy and compassion from my mother. So again, I'd like to thank you all for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much. When both your witnesses said, referred to you as an ACM, my hearing's like a little off. I thought they said ATM, and that's probably what your children call you, the ATM, I'm guessing.
At least one of them does.
Counselor Jubinville.
I've known you a long time, interacted with you in the system for years. Did a great job in Brighton. I think you do a great job. Put a vote for you.
Thank you, Counselor Jubinville. Counselor Devaney.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Thank you for all the time you afforded me. I would never understand this process, and I've talked about it so many times, and I wish they would change it. For you to come to have this hearing, there was no need. You have done your job, and you have been, everyone knows. And so you're transferring to another court. Yeah. We had, now he's retired, Judge Brennan, who went from the district court to the superior court, and then he decided there was too much writing. So he asked to go back to the district court, but he did need to have a hearing. The rules are crazy. And so we have in our file that he retired from the superior court, but not through, it was the district court. But that can be done within the court. And I think it should be done in court to transfer a person. We transferred a judge, Councilor Iannello and I were the only ones on at the time, who moved to the Cape. So he found an opening down the Cape and was transferred. He had to have another hearing. It doesn't make sense. So I want to apologize for that because you are so qualified. Tell me, tell us, I know, we've been there for a long time and I appreciate finding out all about and happy anniversary. Tell me, how you managed to get through the pandemic and what you did for the people that were working for you. How did you get through?
Thank you for that question, Council. What we did, we utilized a lot of the technology that's been provided to the court. We increased our use of Zoom. We also the trial court gave us some tools where we were able to create teams so that we could one group that would come in, being served, and the court remained open, and the clerk's office remained open, and then another team would come in. So that way, in case there was ever an outbreak, it wouldn't affect the operation of the court. We could still continue, and I'm happy and pleased to say that although several courts throughout the Commonwealth unfortunately had to shut down for brief periods of time because of the pandemic, the Brighton Division never closed down.
Tell me, is there one case that came before you that stands out in your memory that you'll always remember? Maybe it was you were pleased about the outcome, or maybe you weren't.
There's I've handled a lot of cases in terms of, and many of them stick out to me for different reasons. But if I had to pick one, it's probably while I was an assistant clerk in Brockton, in a clerk's hearing.
Go ahead, please.
Sorry, go ahead. I want to hear you.
It involved a motor vehicle homicide, and it was a tragic accident, and the person that was accused of having committed the offense was very remorseful, very upset, and it was really a tragic accident. Did not issue. By the Commonwealth, was brought up and it was heard. I believe it was Judge Dolly at the time who heard the appeal, and my decision was held.
I mean, your responsibilities won't be any different going to another courthouse, will it be?
No,
What will be the difference for you?
the size of the court, the number of staff, and just managing those individuals.
So you'll have more
That'll be a logical, yes.
responsibilities.
It's similar responsibilities, but yes, I mean, there's more people, so with more people, be in a larger case volume, yes.
Right, right. So there's that opening, you'll probably be there right away.
I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed and sworn in, gonna work it right away.
Well, again, I hope that they change this because you are qualified and to come before us to transfer laterally from one court to another doesn't make sense. So I hope that someone out there will listen and change it. And I thank you for coming and bringing me light. I feel I know so much about you. You afforded me so much time. It was really a pleasure meeting you. I feel like I know your children and you're so proud of them, and I'm sure they're just as proud of you. So really, you know, we spent so much time together. We found you qualified 5 years ago. I haven't changed my mind. You never let me down. And I've always said I don't have a any way to know how someone I vote on is going to be. I don't have a crystal ball, but I didn't need one with you. You've done an excellent job, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you, Counselor.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Ianello.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I agree with my good friend from Watertown. There's no reason why we should have had a hearing. Having said that, I was a little surprised my good friend even asked you one question, to be honest with you, and I'm a little surprised she even had to meet with you for all that long, because there is no need for a hearing. Excuse me. Excuse me. So there is no need. We know you called me on the phone, we spoke obviously a lot more when you first went before us, but total, there's no reason to ask you any questions. We all know you're doing a great job. Looking forward to voting.
Thank you. Counselor Duff.
I have no questions. I had a great conversation with you, and I'm quite satisfied.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. Counselor Kennedy.
Given that, I know you very well, you're doing a great job in Brighton, you're gonna be missed there. Given that it is a transfer, I'm gonna suggest to Councilor Ferrara make a motion that we vote on you today as opposed to waiting. There's no reason for us to wait on your vote.
I agree. After hearing from Counselor Devaney, that it should be that way, I will make that motion that we vote on the nominee today.
Can I say?
I will support that motion based upon what Councilor debate.
Yeah, that was a good idea.
Let's make a-
Yes, go ahead.
Can we have a letter from this council to say that when someone's making a lateral move, it's not necessary to bring that person in? If we could do that, I'd really appreciate that.
Mr. Chair.
We can discuss that. We can discuss that.
Okay.
But for today, I think you have the right idea. I think we should vote on him today. Okay, so I make the motion, you second it? Oh,
Let's do it at the end.
at the end? Okay. All right, thank you.
Respect for the Yom Kippur holiday next week.
Yes. Excellent. Counsel DePaulo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. Thank you for your service to the Commonwealth. Most of your career has been in that light, and you're obviously good at maintaining relationships, which is important because this council is certainly very supportive. I was not on the council, and the council changes, so I think it's good that lateral appointments would come before us, just because there could be new faces on the council, right? So that's my only. I've heard the JNC praised this morning, and I think I actually do agree with Councilor Duff that the process they've chosen to try to be more efficient. I'm totally okay with that. But we do need to pump the brakes a little bit because no one's perfect. Because, what's that?
What about me?
Except for my colleagues.
Sister Mary Hurley.
Nobody's perfect, right? So I recently had a nominee who even the first two law partners on their application weren't called during diligence process. So some slips through the cracks, I think. I've seen excuses made to kick minority candidates out of diligence when the same disqualifications were present in other nominees who were perhaps better connected or whatever the case might be. So I just want to pump the brakes. No one's perfect. I am proud of how the JNC works in general with that. So I just have some brief questions so I can make sure I feel good about you. So I always look in the application of how a nominee would characterize how their discretion ought to be exercised. So could you tell me about your perspective on that regarding sentencing?
Sentencing.
I apologize. Could you characterize your own views on how your judicial discretion or how one's judicial discretion should be exercised?
Sure. So let me take first which,
Right.
most likely would be most pertinent to me. So I believe that in the clearance hearings, the standard that we use, as you know, is probable cause. Would a reasonable person believe that this offense occurred? But just because probable cause may be established does not necessarily mean that a complaint should issue. Many times, in my opinion, it shouldn't issue.
Why is the charge being considered in the first place?
Well,
Do you think that prosecutors overcharge?
there've been occasions, sure, of course, there may be occasions where prosecutors overcharge. But it may simply be that the incident did actually occur, but what's the right remedy? Is the remedy giving somebody a criminal record that otherwise shouldn't have a criminal record? And so I think that there's a lot of tools that are available in our disposal, such as keeping cases open and diverting them for a period of time to make sure there's no further difficulties with the individual, and basically keep it open at an administrative level so that the rest of their life isn't negatively impacted.
A lot of people support you. I've talked to, so I don't have any other questions for you this way. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor, Sister Mary Hurley.
Thank you, Father. We met in person, talked to you on the phone, looked at your application, and I just want to ask one question. How many years have you been married?
23.
23.
Yeah.
Huh?
Dated for 7 before that.
What's it go? Wow. I asked somebody that once, how long have you been married? They said happily, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. So I agree with everything that has been said here today. I would point out, just for the record, that the reason that you have to apply as opposed to a judicial transfer, which the Supreme Court has given authority to the various first justices or chief justices of the various divisions of the trial court, is the statutory scheme. And I agree that maybe that should be changed. For right now, that's why it happens. Being the most familiar with that stuff. When I sat in various courts in other parts of the state, if it was, for example, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, when a district court judge goes there, there's only a probate court judge 2 days a week, a superior court judge 2 days a week. And the other days that they're not there, I would become a probate court judge as well as the district court judge and a superior court judge, all by designation from the various chief justices of those courts. Sometimes I don't I think there's other courts where you don't have a probate court judge here the same day, and there's other instances where I was actually designated as a housing court judge. So statutory theme or scheme is if it's a permanent transfer, then you got to come back. So that's enough education for one day.
Thank you, Councilor.
I'm totally satisfied, going to vote for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now it's me. I don't have any questions. We've talked in length. You've done a great job, as everyone has already said, and you're going to do a great job in Brockton. I appreciate your public service. And with that, we conclude the hearing. Thank you.